What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim. Going to be talking about a new card from Celestial Storm in today's Card of the Day video. Today we're talking about Electrode GX. I actually am a big fan of this card. I think this guy is super cool. He reminds me a lot of Electrode EX from the Fire Red, Leaf Green era. That old Electrode EX was used in a few decks and was used very effectively during that era and time. Also reminds me a lot of the base set Electrode, which was also used in decks at that time. And Electrode Prime as well. Electrode has got a long, kind of great history of exploding himself and giving energy to his friends in decks. Electrode Prime was used in the Cabalion Electrode Curum deck. I love that deck. I think that deck's a lot of fun as well. Electrode GX, being a GX Pokemon, does give up 2 prizes, but there are a lot of cool things that we can do when we are behind in prizes in the Pokemon trading card game right now. Unfortunately, we are losing N, so that is a little bit of a bummer. We are losing N, but there are other ways to limit your opponent with Judge coming out. We do have Judge. I think Judge is already printed, but Judge is an option that we have. We also have Counter Catcher. We have Counter Energy. There are some things you can do when you are behind on prizes. You can also Peeking Red card, judge your opponent, check their hand. You could Delinquent your opponent as well. Judge Delinquent, things like that. Make sure that your opponent's hand is small, and then try to sweep with an Electrode. That has been the strategy with Electrode type decks. Typically, at least the Electrode EX decks, you would give up prizes and then Rockets admin your opponent to limit their options. Rockets admin is the same thing as N. Unfortunately, we are losing N after rotation, but at least for Worlds, it will be a legal combination to blow your own Pokemon up. Also, an option that we have is B-String, right? You could blow up your own Electrode to activate your own B-String. I'm not exactly sure how much kind of energy acceleration you need. Are you already accelerating 5 energy cards from the discard pile to your Pokemon? Then also, do you need to play B-String to get more energy into play? What are you going to do with all that energy once it's in play? Interesting questions nonetheless. I haven't even gone over Electrode stuff yet. I just wanted to dive right in here. Electrode GX, Lightning type Pokemon GX, 190 hit points, fighting weakness, metal resistance, and a retreat cost of 1. Pretty standard stats. Honestly, none of that really matters because we're going to be blowing this thing up. About the moment it gets into play, usually you just need him to kind of not get knocked out before you blow him up. If your Electrode GX gets knocked out by your opponent before you blow it up, then that is a waste, right? Because you didn't get to give yourself the extra energy with extra energy bomb. Reads once during your turn before you attack. You may attach 5 energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon, except Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX in any way you like. If you do, this Pokemon is knocked out. So, a couple things here. First of all, it says energy cards. That means not limited to basic energy. So we can attach things like double colorless energy, counter energy, not beast energy, because that wouldn't be in the discard pile, that'd be in the lost zone, but other special energies. Unfortunately, we don't have flash energy anymore, but it is a cool option for lightning type Pokemon. But you don't need to play this with lightning type Pokemon. You can play Electrode GX with any type Pokemon. You could play it with fighting type Pokemon. I think fighting type Pokemon could even be one of the most valid strategies to use if we had some basic fighting type Pokemon that could utilize lots of energy. We do have the Buzzwole Ultra Beast, is an option as a non-GX Pokemon. You also have Pokemon as an option that just evolve into GXs. So you could accelerate energy to something like a Kirlia, right? And then evolve into a Gardevoir GX. There's nothing wrong with that. You just can't accelerate straight to Pokemon GX. I think that strategy might be a little bit too strong. That's what we did back in Zapdos Rayquaza Electrode from the 2005-2006 era. You would blow up your Electrode EX, accelerate to big Zapdos and Rayquaza EXs. You would admin your opponent to low and then just sweep up the board with these huge Pokemon EX that were hard to knock out and limiting your opponent's hand size. Tons of things going on here. Electrode GX, I think, has the same potential, but a strategy might be a little bit more difficult to unlock. With Cabalion Curum Electrode Prime, deck that existed probably about like 2012 after Noble Victories was released during that Cities format. That deck was a counter deck, right? So we played these big basic Pokemon, Cobalion, Curum, right? This was before EXs were released, re-released again, I should say. And they were cards that helped counter other popular threats. Curum's Glaciate did 30 damage to everything on your opponent's side of the board. It was very good against big setup decks like Chandelure and stuff like that. And then Cobalion was very good because it made it so your basic Pokemon could not attack next turn with its Iron Breaker attack. Very cool stuff. So those two Pokemon just comboed well, but they kind of arose out of, you know, the metagame that existed, right? They were counter Pokemon that countered what was already popular. I think Electrode GX, you can't really, you know, make an Electrode GX deck in a vacuum, I think. I think you're going to want to wait until certain decks emerge, you know, kind of arise as being popular archetypes. Then maybe you'll say, okay, wow, if only I could power up this Pokemon, if only I could power up that Pokemon. And then maybe Electrode GX starts to look like a good idea as a potential partner to power up these kind of rogue Pokemon. And they would be rogue Pokemon because they don't have really any other valid way to get accelerated to. Like, you're not going to accelerate to a psychic type Pokemon because we have Malamar to do that. You're probably not going to accelerate to any other kinds of Pokemon that has a valid energy acceleration, right? So I'm looking at fighting Pokemon as a potential because not only are they going to be able to knock out Zoroark, which is a big threat next format, you know, just because it stays so good, but also because they don't have a lot of other ways to accelerate. They just have B-String, and that's it. So you have B-String, maybe Electrode GX could be a partner for fighting type Pokemon as well. Now Electrode, I've talked a lot about that ability, the ability to be able to accelerate these energy into play from your discard pile, but Electrode does have an attack and a GX attack as well. Electro Ball for a Lightning and a Colorless just does 50 damage. Pretty vanilla. You're probably not ever going to attack with that. Then Crush and Burn GX. Discard any amount of energy from your Pokemon. This attack does 30 plus 50 more damage for each card you discarded in this way. Crush and Burn GX, sure. I mean, you can get in there for a big one-hit knockout. You can discard 4 energy from play. So it's definitely a valid option. And you imagine something where, like, you blow up an Electrode, accelerate a bunch of energy to a Voltorb, evolve into Electrode, Crush and Burn GX for game. Definitely a possibility. However, Electrode GX is limited by the fact that it gives up 2 prizes, right? So you can't play Electrode GX once, you know, your opponent's at that 2 prize range. So it's something you're going to have to get into play quickly. You're going to want to try and execute that strategy before your opponent really starts to get set up themselves, and then start limiting their hand right away, countering things, you know, getting things out with Counter Catcher. You want the deck to be very aggressive in that kind of way so that you can kind of disrupt your opponent's setup strategy while you kind of just tee off with Electrode. So that's it for my card of the day on Electrode GX. Let me know, what do you guys think is going to be good with Electrode GX in the comments below. Thank you all for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, check out the Patreon and Etsy store in the description below. Peace.